28 Days Later is a 2002 movie directed by Dani Boyle and written by Alex Garland. Now, I watched this movie because it is considered a cult classic and the new one is coming in a couple of days, so I thought that it's a great time to review it. And more importantly, I just wanted to check out what the hype was around this movie. And I am very glad that I checked it out because this movie was fantastic. I loved it. Now, a strange thing I realized after watching this movie is that I have actually never seen a serious zombie movie before this one. And I'm not joking, I have seen a couple of comedies like Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland. Both were nice movies, but I don't think I can consider them a serious action zombie movies. So this is actually my introduction to the 2000 and 2010 craze of all the zombie movies and media. And I was also surprised to find out that this is the movie which made zombies really fast and crazy and angry. So I'm just overall very happy that accidentally I ended up watching this movie in preparation of the new one coming out. The story of movie is quite simple. You have these chimpanzees that are locked in a research facility, and some people want to go out and save them. But while doing so, these people don't realize that chimps are actually infected with a virus. So the virus transfers to human, and then we cut to the movie title, 28 Days Later. So 28 days passed and we realized that the virus has wiped out a lot of the humanity, and now it's basically survival of the fittest. We wake up with the character of Cillian Murphy, who is butt naked in a hospital and completely lost because hospital is empty. He goes outside and the London is completely empty. And by the way, this entire footage of him roaming around in empty London, which we usually see as a very busy place, is very surreal and well shot. Now, the movie doesn't have a big budget. It was like, $8 million for a mainstream zombie movie. So to get this kind of shots, they had to take some help. So they hired these attractive people who will stop the cars from entering in the scene and explain the situation and things like that. And the movie is shot on a potato, which is also interesting because this is one of the first movies which was completely shot digitally. There is some footage at the end which was shot on film, but generally the entire thing is shot on digital, and it is one of a kind. At least it was one of a kind at that time. So basically, back to the story, we have Cillian Murphy's character who is walking around London looking for somebody, anybody, and he ends up running to lots of zombies inside of a church. Basically, his character gets attacked at the church and gets saved by Naomie Harris's character. Naomie Harris, initially in the movie, is on a always flight or fight response. She is alert, she has a really big machete, I think, in her hand, and she's ready to cut through anyone who gets infected. And in fact, she immediately kills one of her friends as soon as he gets infected. Later, they are at Jim's house, and Jim finds out that both of his parents are dead, and you get this scene where he reads the last note his mother left him in a quite gut-wrenching scene. Then they start on their journey, and while doing so, they also establish some of the rules of the world, like don't go out alone at the night, how do infected people behave, and your typical survival movie situation. And while looking for other people, they run into this wholesome family of father and daughter. And together they realize that they all need each other and it's best for them to work as a team. Now, the father has a receiver, some kind of radio receiver, and they get this weird message that, hey, we are from military, we have cure for the disease, and we have all the things you need for survival. Just come and meet us and we will help you out. Now, all of them are understandably quite pessimistic and not that excited about the message, but they embark on this journey anyway because they don't have any other choice pretty much. And this is where the movie just starts to get better and better. And they all form this bond of a family. And as I said initially, Naomi's character is quite pessimistic, always on the edge, I'm gonna just fight for myself and just survive. She actually realizes that she, again, has a reason to live. And so does everyone else. And it is a very hopeful moment in the movie where everything is very grim and dark. And finally, there is a light, a hope. You see them shopping together, they're on a picnic. There's also this kind of funny but also scary situation in a tunnel. All of these events just make them bond together tighter and tighter. And within an hour of runtime, they establish and develop so much in these characters. And finally, they reach to this military base camp, but well, there is no one. And they're quite disappointed that they went through such a long journey and risked their lives to get here, but there's nothing. And this is where one of the most creative death I have seen in a while, especially in a survival movie. So the Papa Bear character, he is walking around looking for military people, and he just looks up. And there's a dead body or something from where a drop of blood falls directly into his eye. That's genius. But unfortunately, Papa Bear has to die. The moment he turns into zombie, all the military people suddenly appear out of thin air and kill him, so, he doesn't infect other people. And at this point, now the movie, which was a good movie, now turns into an amazing cult classic. Basically, these military people are no good. And from the get-go, they're established. Like, there's no, a crazy twist. But you see them that they don't have any regard for human life. They weirdly don't have any sympathy for this daughter character, considering they just shot her father. And everything seems a little bit off. And then the general or their leader basically reveals that, yeah, the radio message they sent out was fake. It was just a ploy to lure them in, because they wanted women to satisfy their needs, more like sexually assault them and abuse them for their, satisfaction. And Jim, the moment he realizes that, oh, that's the reason, he immediately tries to evacuate, both of these women to help them escape, but they fail. And Jim is left to die. But fortunately, Jim manages to escape. And until this point, Jim hasn't done anything that crazy, except one part where he kills a kid. Now Jim has to make a choice. He can stay and help these two women or run for his life. But fortunately, Jim decides to come back and help these women and fight the real monster of this movie, which are these men. And I think this is where the movie really shines, and what makes it stand the test of time and makes it the classic is that in an apocalyptic situation, something like this will definitely happen. I know we think zombies are scary. They are. It's a bloodthirsty dead body that wants to kill you. I get it. But this vulgarity and this inhuman nature of this military men is quite disgusting. You feel, something in your stomach when you see these men act in such a savage way, and you genuinely root for Jim and these women to fight and win over them. And Jim is now almost like a fighter, using his brain and his physical abilities to max, and he's luring these people out. And everything that happens here is done in such a good way. The presentation is top notch, except I guess there's a bit of shaky camera and fast-paced editing, which is a product of its time, and I guess the only aspect that feels a little bit dated. But that is used sparingly, so it doesn't become obnoxious, but you don't enjoy it either. At least I didn't. And entire time, all of this fight is going on, and you root for these people. The development that they went through in the last 2 hours is amazing. They're real people to you, and you hate these military men with your passion. And finally, they manage to escape, and you can breathe. It's okay. I mean, that doesn't come easy because there's a freeze frame, and another 28 days pass by, and you finally get, that, oh, everybody's safe and sound. But the movie doesn't end there. You realize that they're still, in this isolated place somewhere in the mountains, and they try to ask for help to military helicopters. But the helicopter deliberately ignores them, and the movie kind of ends there. So it kind of leaves you curious, but also not in a bad way. You get some satisfaction, but also you keep thinking about, oh, whether they received help or not. These characters stay with you after the movie has ended. Also, I can't believe that I haven't mentioned it until now, but the soundtrack rules. It kicks ass, man. Especially that Naomie Murphy in the House song, the rock remix, or the metal remix, is something like that. That is killer. It does such an important job to bind entire movie together. It is very noticeable. It has a clear personality, but at the same time, it doesn't demand too much attention. Something that leaves an impression after the movie ends. You want to go on YouTube and search 28 Days movie song, theme song, or stuff like this. And then you hear it on your headphones, and it's nice. So overall, amazing movie. I don't have much to complain except that some of the editing and camera work feels a little bit outdated. And also performance of the daughter was a little bit mixed bag. Sometimes she did good, but sometimes her acting or dialogue delivery was bad enough that it broke my immersion. And I remember that, oh, I am watching a movie. And that's how I feel about this movie. I highly recommend it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. And if you have already, maybe watch it again. I think it should be an amazing second watch experience as well. Now, you can see that the video still hasn't ended. There is some time left. Do you know why? Remember in the beginning I said that the movie was made with a very small budget and it became a big hit and it was quite influential? And you know what that means for producers, right? A sequel that will bring in money. 28 Weeks Later is the direct sequel to 28 Days Later, and before watching this movie, I was not excited about it at all because there were some clear red flags. Number one, as I just said, that this was mostly made because first movie made a lot of money. That's why the project must have been greenlit. And second is that the both key creatives, Dani Boyle and Garland, are missing this time. You have new director Juan Carlos, and I have nothing against that man, but usually when a project that is heavily dependent on the director who made it, when you have new guy coming in, it is never a good sign. So as the title says, this movie takes place 28 weeks after the virus outbreak, which means that it takes place 20 weeks after the ending of first movie. So basically, when the movie starts, you have this couple living in this isolated house in the village side area, and they are living with a family and suddenly get attacked by a bunch of zombies. And this is where I actually changed my mind for a while, that, and I thought that, oh, this movie might be good, because that entire sequence of this, this couple and this people living together, they get attacked by a zombie, and the husband, who initially we think is a very loving and caring man, actually abandons his wife to die. And that was quite brutal, and the way entire opening sequence is handled is fantastic. But then the actual movie started and I realized that, oh, I was correct. This movie is not that good. The biggest change this time is that now it is America. So in surprising twist, the outbreak has actually been under control and all the infected people are completely gone. And the London is now being handled by American military, and they're just trying to recover everything. The life is restarting and it's peaceful, and you get introduced to these two kids who happen to be kids of this man who abandoned his wife in the beginning. And these kids are not that intelligent, because in the London, in this movie, you have certain sections where you're not supposed to go because, it is not under control of the military yet, and there might be zombies there. But the kids go out anyway, because they're kids and not that smart. But surprisingly, they actually end up finding their mother, who is still alive. And the important part is that she was bitten by a zombie, but didn't become one. So she can give virus to other people, but she did not become a zombie herself. She is somewhere in this middle ground. That is, again, an interesting idea, but it is handled so poorly that it makes you angry. And this is where also, so many characters in the movie just become stupid and the plot conveniences start to happen. So we have Idris Elba's character, and he's this military leader, and he decides that, oh, we should immediately kill this woman. And what? Why do you want to kill her? You can do experiments using her blood. You can maybe find a cure. And there is a doctor character who, is supposed to be the sane one and try to make sense, but no one listens to her, of course, because the plot needs to happen. And if that wasn't enough, in how in the movie they established that there is lots of military in London right now, and the mother is left unguarded in just a simple room where anyone can enter with a key card. And the husband does exactly that because, now he's scared that, oh my God, I abandoned my wife and now she's alive and she's gonna rat out to everyone. So he goes in the room and starts making out with her and gets infected, becomes a zombie, and kills her. It is so dumb. And because here the movie loses every opportunity it had. Because the husband could have been an interesting villain. You can have this guy who is just extremely selfish, and you can play around that. But he's gone because he's now turned into this stupid zombie. The wife could have been an interesting character. They killed her as well. But long story short, now husband is a zombie and he goes out and bites a bunch of people, and there's a new zombie outbreak after many, many weeks and months. And this is where I realized that, oh, this movie is just trying to copy the important points of the first movie in hopes that people will like it again. See, in the first movie, there was a twist, right? That it's the men who are the real disgusting villains and not the zombies. Well, here it's the same thing again. Like you have military who gives out an order to kill everybody. Doesn't matter if they're zombie or not, but as long as they're on the ground level sector with the zombies, kill all of them in the name of containing the virus, which is messed up, and I can see it happening in real life situation. But the way we get to this situation in the first hour of this movie is so ridiculous that I didn't care anymore. And here we also get some important work from Jeremy Renner's character. Yeah, he's also in the movie, and he's the only one who has some kind of character arc and someone you care about, what happens to him. And he comes down and he realizes that, I don't want to work with the military. They're not nice people. I want to help the civilians. Great. So he meets up with this doctor character and both of the kids, and they're all in the group together. And now their objective is to survive the military. And this is also where, the movie doesn't make sense to me. The outbreak seems to have calmed down, and you can clearly see who is human and who is not, but military still just wants to kill people anyway because they can, which is just not explained that well, like why they want to do it. And in between all of this, there's this absolutely ridiculous sequence with helicopter. So you have this army man who comes and tries to save Jeremy Renner, right? And he kills a bunch of zombies with helicopter blades. Now, sure, I love the idea. It sounds cool as hell in theory, but not for this movie. The first movie was so grounded, and this movie as well until this point. And now you have suddenly a dude killing a bunch of zombies with helicopter blades while the helicopter is flying around in the grass field. It looked so out of place and ridiculous. But basically, Jeremy Renner's character sacrifices himself, which is also a bit dark and handled quite well. So he dies while trying to save these people. And now you have three key characters left, the doctor and two kids. And they go into this underground metro station to run away from this military. And you have this really interesting sequence with night vision goggles. And I was intrigued. I was like, yeah, that's a cool idea. But while trying to protect the kids, the doctor is dead. And so were my any left expectation of this movie. I was done. The doctor dies because the zombie pulps her to death. And that's another thing, by the way. The zombies are no longer biting. They're just straight up punching you to death like you're in a street brawl. Like, come here, bitch, I'm gonna mess you up. And the doctor is gone, and you have both of the kids left, and they're trying to find their way outside because everything is dark. And guess what? The dad is still alive, and I don't care. It's like the dad is a zombie now, and he tries to kill his kid. And while the dad is trying to kill his son, the daughter shoots him with a gun and kills him, which is also done so poorly and feels so unsatisfying when the dad finally dies. But now the daughter and son, both of them survive, and they're finally saved in this football stadium by military. And I don't even know, why is military suddenly saving these kids now, even though they were trying to kill them the entire movie, but I don't care anymore. And the little bit of twist or intrigue at the end is that the military doesn't know that the kid is infected, and they save him anyway. So at the end, this movie was exactly what I expected. It is a sequel who lives in the shadow of the first movie. I mean, it had some really amazing sequences in the beginning, and there are some interesting moments in the middle. I think Jeremy Renner's character was the most compelling one, alongside with the doctor. The father character had a lot of potential, but they kind of wasted him by killing him or turning him into zombie at the midpoint. And I didn't care about the kids at all. I'm sorry, I don't care. And now this brings us to 28 years later. I'm actually quite optimistic about this movie. I haven't watched it yet, because it hasn't released. But the both key creatives, Dani Boyle and Alex Garland, are back, which is a good sign. And also the teaser trailer they put out was fantastic. Got me hyped, got me hooked, and I'm going to watch it as soon as it comes out and review here on this channel. So subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you very much for watching all the way through. It means a lot to me. I hope you had a good time. I will see you next time. Until then, goodbye, take care, and have some fun with fiction.